Radiation is an invisible force surrounded by myths and misconceptions. In this video, we uncover how people viewed radiation shortly after its discovery over 120 years ago. Can radiation really create mutants? And what other incidents, beyond Chernobyl, have occurred throughout history? Let's explore 10 fascinating facts about radiation. For many, the word radiation brings images of death, mutations, and the Chernobyl disaster. But this wasn't always the case. In the early 20th century, people saw radiation as a miracle. After Wilhelm Röntgen discovered X-rays in 1895 and radioactivity was uncovered the following year, society believed these phenomena could improve health and well-being. Soon, X-rays were used to see inside the human body. Doctors used their own hands for test images, unaware of the risks. Over time, they developed skin burns, cancer, and even had to amputate limbs due to overexposure. Another invention, the fluoroscope, offered real-time imaging using similar rays. It was even installed in shoe stores to show how shoes fit. But these devices caused serious injuries, leading to bans after thousands were harmed. The discovery of radium and polonium by Marie and Pierre Curie captivated the world. Radium glowed in the dark and was seen as magical. Its dangers weren't immediately known. Marie Curie herself suffered from radiation-related illnesses, including cataracts and skin damage. Radium was quickly commercialized. In the US and Europe, radioactive water was sold as a cure for everything from digestive issues to hair loss. Manufacturers claim radiation was a source of life energy, and people believed it. Special bottles were created to charge regular water with radioactivity. Products like radioactive toothpaste, face creams, and cosmetics were widely marketed. They promised glowing skin and ultimate cleanliness. Instead, users lost teeth, developed burns, and experienced severe health issues. Yet the dangers of radium spread slowly, and people continued using these products for years. Even radioactive bedding and condoms were sold, promoted as health-enhancing and disease-preventing. The glow of radium also made it popular for watch dials, leading to the tragedy of the radium girls. These women painted watch faces with radium-based paint, licking their brushes to maintain precision. They suffered anemia, bone fractures, and eventually died from radiation exposure. Their employer denied the danger and even blamed the women for having syphilis. Legal battles were long and difficult, but the women's struggle eventually led to major improvements in workplace safety standards worldwide. Another tragic case occurred in Goiânia, Brazil, in 1987. After a hospital was abandoned during a relocation dispute, looters broke in and took equipment, including a device containing cesium-137. They dismantled the device, exposing themselves to radiation. One thief lost fingers, another later lost his arm. They didn't realize the blue glowing powder they found was highly radioactive. The substance was taken home, shown to family and friends, and even used as makeup. Some people added it to food, believing it had magical properties. The contamination spread rapidly across the city. When symptoms appeared, one woman finally brought the substance to a clinic. Authorities were alerted, and the government launched a massive cleanup operation. Entire buses and cars were buried. Over 40 houses were demolished. More than 100,000 people were examined. Around 250 were found to be exposed. 6 people died, including a 6-year-old girl who ingested the powder. Her burial was protested by locals fearing radiation. The incident devastated the local economy, destroyed tourism, and turned the thieves into social outcasts. One died of alcoholism, the other of illness and depression. Another frightening case happened in the Soviet Union. In the late 1970s, a small capsule containing cesium-137 was lost at a quarry in Donetsk. It ended up in gravel used to build an apartment block in Kramatorsk, Ukraine. Unknowingly, families moved in. A young woman died within a year, followed by her brother and mother. Later, another family suffered similar tragedies. One son died, The other fell seriously ill. Eventually, health inspectors found the radioactive source embedded in a wall. It was traced back to quarry workers who had negligently lost it. They were given suspended sentences. In 1999, a criticality accident occurred in Tokaimura, Japan. 3 workers mishandled uranium, causing an uncontrolled chain reaction. Massive radiation escaped. One worker, Hisashi Auchi, received 17 sieverts, far beyond the lethal dose. Despite having no white blood cells or functioning DNA, he was kept alive for 83 agonizing days. Doctors maintained his life at his family's request, even as his body deteriorated. Eventually, they allowed him to pass away. He remains one of the most irradiated humans in history. His case exemplifies how brutal radiation poisoning can be. Now, let's talk about an unusual consequence of nuclear weapons testing: radioactive steel. After the first atomic bomb test in 1945, radioactive isotopes entered the atmosphere and contaminated air worldwide. Today, steel absorbs trace radiation during production. Though harmless, it can't be used in sensitive equipment like medical scanners or space sensors. For such purposes, steel from pre-nuclear warship wrecks is salvaged because it has virtually no radiation. This industry also retrieves lead from old wrecks for similar reasons. Although it's possible to make radiation-free steel today, the process is expensive due to the need for purified air. Now, what about radiation in pop culture? Games like Stalker and Fallout show mutants with extra limbs and glowing eyes. But can radiation really create monsters? The answer is no. Following the Chernobyl disaster, researchers studied animals, plants, and insects in the exclusion zone. No two-headed creatures were found. At most, birds developed unusual feather patterns, and leaves grew in odd shapes. The more complex the organism, the more sensitive it is to radiation. Rather than mutating, such organisms typically die. Radiation can cause birth defects, but those offspring rarely survive long. Radiation does increase cancer rates and can lead to reproductive issues in animals, but it doesn't create monsters. Ironically, many species now thrive in the Chernobyl zone due to the absence of humans. People pose a greater threat to wildlife than radiation itself. Despite its reputation, radiation has many peaceful and helpful uses today. It sterilizes food, eliminating harmful microbes and insects, and extends shelf life without making food radioactive. It also helps inspect welds in construction by revealing hidden flaws, ensuring the safety of bridges and skyscrapers. Smoke detectors contain small radioactive sources to detect particles in the air quickly. Radiation is used in agriculture to induce mutations in plants, speeding up selective breeding processes. Most importantly, nuclear energy provides massive amounts of electricity without producing greenhouse gas emissions. Still, many people in the US and Europe fear nuclear power due to disasters like Chernobyl and Fukushima. Yet modern reactors are far safer and more secure, making Chernobyl-like incidents nearly impossible. Nuclear energy has caused fewer deaths than coal plants, which quietly contribute to disease and death through pollution. However, 2 major concerns remain: limited uranium supply and the high cost of building nuclear plants. Ideally, nuclear energy should complement renewable sources like wind and solar, providing power when natural sources fall short. Thanks for watching this video until the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope to see you again soon.